Good morning, friends. Greetings and welcome to The Bright Side, your nutritional program dedicated to the understanding of the vast world of nutrition and nutritional supplementation. I am your host, Pharmacist Ben, nutritional pharmacist from Boulder, Colorado. I use nutritional supplements where other healthcare practitioners use toxic pharmaceutical drugs and sometimes deadly medical procedures. If you suspect that there are natural nutritional roads to your health and vitality and well-being and to addressing your health challenges, whatever they may be, but you don't know where to begin, you have come to the right place. As you listen to The Bright Side every day, you are more and more in control of your body. You are more and more knowledgeable, and you know you can overcome any health challenge. That is why we are here every day on The Bright Side, helping clear up the sometimes confusing world of nutrition and nutritional supplementation. Over the last 30 years of practicing pharmacy, I have seen drug-free recoveries from diabetes and hypertension and obesity and skin diseases like psoriasis, eczema, rosacea, acne, digestive ailments, autoimmune issues of all kinds. Recoveries that by the standards of modern medicine can only be called a miracle, but what is in the world of the body, what is in the world of biology, standard operating procedure. Because the human biological system is a healing system, it's a regenerating system, it is designed divinely to heal and renew itself on a moment-to-moment basis, and while some folks may call that a miracle, it really is just the way the body works. If you have questions about health or nutrition or prescription drugs, we are here for you. We welcome your calls on The Bright Side. 844-236-6010 is our number. We'll get your calls a little bit earlier. Today we've got guests coming up in our last segment, so we'll get your calls here maybe in our second segment or at the end of our middle of our second segment. So try to call early, 844-236-6010, so we don't have to leave anybody on hold. If you have questions about the Longevity products or business or my Truth Skin Health products, if you've been enjoying our Truth Skin Health products, I'd love to hear what you think about it. You can find out all about our Truth Skin Health products at truthtreatments.com, truthtreatments.com. If you're dealing with acne blemishes or wrinkles or fine lines, or you want to prevent all of those from occurring, you want to know about retinol 5% gel. And by the way, I just did a post on retinol on my Facebook page, my professional Facebook page. A lot of you guys are friending me on my personal page, and I don't really check that all that often, but if you go to The Truth with Ben, you'll get regular blog posts and videos, skin health information, of course, information about our Truth Skin Health products, and also we occasionally do coupons and discounts on The Truth with Ben. So you want to like that page, The Truth with Ben. You can find out, you can check out our retinol article on The Truth with Ben. I love the stuff, retinol. Man, do I love it. I know I've been talking about it on this program for 30 years. I've been working with retinol for over 30 years, for 32 years. First discovered the power of retinol when I was working for Blistex back in the 80s. We couldn't use retinol. Retinol is pretty aggressive stuff. So over the course of the decades, what I figured out how to do is make retinol less aggressive. Still powerful and still effective, but not anywhere near as irritating or inflaming as most retinol products are, or retinoic acid is. Now, of course, department store and salon products that contain retinol will typically contain very small amounts, almost trace amounts of retinol. I worked for a company where they used to put 0.1% retinol. That's not going to do anything for a gerbil, for a squirrel, let alone a human being. 0.1% retinol. That's pathetic. You need at least 1%. And you really want to go to 2 or 3 or 4%. I put 5% in mine because 5% retinol is equipotent. It's the same potency, same retinoid potency, vitamin A potency, as 0.05% retinoic acid. So when you use our Truth Retinol Gel, bottom line here is you're getting a prescription strength product over the counter. It's got the same potency as Retin A, which you're going to have to go to the doctor for, which is incredibly irritating, which is a nasty, nasty product. And it's going to cost you $150 for an ounce, or maybe more even. I don't know what Retin A is going for these days. When you use our Truth Retinol Gel, you get the same potency, and you don't get any preservatives, you don't get any fragrances, you don't get any sodium lauryl sulfate and propylene glycol. These are in the standard Retin A formulation. You don't get any of that stuff. And bonus, you get 25% vitamin C, premium vitamin C. You can find out all about it at truthtreatments.com, truthtreatments.com. That's my Truth Retinol 5% gel if you're dealing with aging, accelerated aging, or you want to prevent it if you're dealing with blemishes or you want to prevent them. Okay, so we have been talking about connective tissue for a long time. I still want to talk about connective tissue, but we'll take a little bit a different tact here for the next few days. Connective tissue is the key element when it comes to aging. It's the key element in the body when it comes to disease. We don't talk about it anywhere near enough. Unless you have arthritis, you probably, or a connective tissue disease, you probably haven't really thought too much about your connective tissue. If you have arthritis, well, yeah, you've thought about your connective tissue. If you have lupus or scleroderma or any of 200 different diseases that affect connective tissue, yes, that's a topic for consideration. But we really should all be talking about connective tissue because the aging process itself is a connective tissue issue. Even if you get up in the morning and feel fatigued, or you wake up out of a nap and you feel fatigued, that could be a connective tissue issue. Do you know the first thing in the morning your connective tissue is tight? It's condensed. This is why it's important to stretch in the morning. This is why yoga can be helpful. People who practice yoga for thousands of years knew first thing in the morning the connective tissue is tight. The electrical energy is constricted in the body. This accounts for fatigue. This is at least one of the reasons why we're fatigued in the morning, because our electrical energy is not being conducted smoothly and with facility through the connective tissue because it's all sticky and clumped up. Particularly a form of connective tissue called fascia, which is incredible stuff. I mean, all connective tissue is incredible, but the fascia, oh my God, we're going to definitely spend time talking about the fascia. I want to take a little bit of a different tack, though, and talk about the heart, and talk about cholesterol, and talk about coenzyme Q10, arguably the heart's most critical nutrient, but at least one of the most critical nutrients in the heart. Coenzyme Q10, it's an electrification substance. It's an energizing substance. And all cells need coenzyme Q10. Now, we hear about it just for the liver, we hear about it for the heart, but all cells need coenzyme Q10. It's not an essential nutrient. You can get by without it. It's not like it's the B complex or vitamin C where you're going to die a horrible death without it, because the body can make it. But as we get older, we don't make as much. And if you're on a statin drug, you're not going to make as much. That is one of the icons of the stupidity of the pharmacomedical model, especially when it comes to treating heart health, is that coenzyme Q10 is produced by the same biochemical pathway, the same biochemical steps are required to make coenzyme Q10 as are required to make cholesterol. Yes, it's the same pathway, it's the same biochemistry. And when you take a statin drug, not only do you shut down cholesterol, you also shut down coenzyme Q10. And nothing exemplifies the stupidity and almost probably the criminal nature of the pharmacomedical model, the pharmacomedical mafia, as it's been called. Not by me, I've heard others say. Anyway, heart disease is an energy disease. And heart disease is a serious, serious problem, as we all know. It's an energy problem. That same kind of problem that happens first thing in the morning when your connective tissue is shriveled and condensed can happen in the heart. What's worse is, because the heart is working so hard, it exhibits the signs of nutritional deficiency very, very quickly. In fact, nothing exhibits the signs of nutritional deficiency faster than the heart, except perhaps the skin and the digestive tract. Probably skin, digestive tract, maybe the immune system. But the heart's right up there as far as rapidity, the rapid nature of the effects of deficiency, how quickly they show up. It doesn't take very long. Go a couple of days without the B complex and vitamin C, which is hard to do, but if you did, you'd start to notice some cardiovascular effects. So heart disease is an energy disease. It begins with damage to the heart, and this damage is subsequent. It follows nutritional deficiency. It follows problems with oxygen. It follows amplified chronic stress response. It follows all the standard things that we talk about on this program. Heart disease is subsequent to bad living. That's basically what you can think of. Just inartful living. When I say bad living, I mean inartful living. Living's an art. How to live effectively is a science, and it's also an art. You've got to know how to weave and bob. You've got to know how to navigate. You've got to know how to surf the waves. Life has certain waves, and you've got to know how to surf them. You've got to know what to put in your body, what not to put in your body, so that you can ride the waves of our lives, ride the waves of our experiences, ride the waves of our circumstances, ride the waves of our thoughts and emotions and feelings. And all of this is, in addition to being a science, it's also an art, and a lot of it involves how we nutriate ourselves. It involves how we live our lives. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side. We'll be back right after this. Bright Side. 844-236-6010 is our number. I'll get your calls here in just a moment. Got a bunch of folks on the line here. I want to tell you some. Let's see here. Let me just say a couple things about coenzyme Q10 and also something called hyaluronic acid. I know you guys have heard of that. Hyaluronic acid is well known as a stimulant of the production of connective tissue for wound healing. It also is relevant for the heart and cardiovascular health. So is CoQ10. If you're on a statin drug, take coenzyme Q10 100 milligrams a day. If you're not on a statin drug, take coenzyme Q10 100 milligrams a day. If you're not even, your heart's not even whacked out, if you're not even, don't even have heart disease, take coenzyme Q10. Maybe not 100 milligrams a day, but certainly you want to do anywhere from 20 to 50 milligrams a day, coenzyme Q10, and it comes in two different varieties, ubiquinone, N-O-N-E, and ubiquinol, N-O-L-E, known and all. We'll be talking about that in the coming days. So let's see. Anything else I want to tell you here? We'll talk about it. We'll continue this discussion tomorrow. 844-236-6010 is our number. Rose in Virginia. What's going on?
Hi, Ben. It's nice hearing you. My heart went after, the lady that had, and I'm not a cat person, but
I know. I got a bunch of letters about that.
She mentioned about this cat that had, if I were her, please to consider a metal detox and a liver detox. Dr. Brood has
Dr. Who?
Ones. And then another thing, when it comes to
hang on, Rose, stop for a second. Dr. Who? I didn't hear you say. Dr.
Group.
Oh, Dr. Group, okay. Oh, yeah, and Dr. Group, okay.
When it comes to the skin, the old school, they used to use coconut oil or avocado oil. And then to consider a humidifier. This is how people keep their skin moist.
That's all good ideas, although avocado oil is not a good oil for the skin. In fact, avocado oil is an omega-6 rich oil, very unstable oil. In fact, no oil is good for the skin. Well, hang on, let me finish real quick, Rose. No oil is good for the skin with the exception of coconut oil and then jojoba oil, which is not an oil, technically. So we're not even going to call it jojoba oil. Coconut oil is the only vegetable oil you should ever put on your skin, in my opinion. Those omega-3 and omega-6 rich oils that you see in fancy creams and lotions, they're not a good idea. They oxidize readily in the presence of oxygen, in the presence of sun, even in the presence of the heat of your, even when from the heat of your skin, they can oxidize. I can always tell a crappy, ignorant formulation by looking at the ingredient deck, and I don't expect everybody can do it, but I can do it because I've been doing it for so long. And when I see grapeseed oil or pumpkin seed oil, these supposedly exotic oils, I know we've got an ignorant formulation or a company that just doesn't care, one or the other or both. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Rose. And I want to get.
Then I make the correction. It was the nurse that sees Steven. She mentioned avocado, but I know coconut is very good. I use
coconut is good. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, and I even use in my face vinegar, like you said.
Yes. Good job. The combination.
It helps.
Thank you for your call, Rosie. I hope everybody's well. Say hi to Steve for me.
My love for you. He's doing much progress. I'll keep in touch.
Please stay in touch. God bless you, Rose. Take care.
I will. God bless.
Okay, that's my friend Rose from. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, Rose. All right, Lee, my buddy Lee. What's going on?
Hey, Ben. How you doing?
How you doing, Lee? How's the fam? How's your dad doing? How's he loving the truth?
He's loving the truth, man.
He's loving the truth. I love it.
20 years younger.
Don't be lying to me now. Don't be blowing smoke.
Making my mom a little bit.
Is he? No, serious. His skin must be looking good. It's been how many months? It's been probably 4 months or so.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the only thing we have left is the Retin-A, but we're going to order the truth serum.
Not Retin-A, retinol.
Retinol. I'm sorry.
That's all right. What's going on, buddy?
I had a question. Actually, speaking of this, I had a couple questions. The first one was about vitamin D topically. If there's any benefit to it.
Oh, you're going to start to see this in the coming years. Vitamin D topically. I've been using vitamin D in my formulations for a long time. It's actually a prescription. Vitamin D is used in a prescription product called Dovanex. I probably haven't heard of that. Folks who have psoriasis sometimes have heard of Dovanex. It's pretty much the only topical prescription remedy or prescription product for psoriasis. Dovanex is specifically for psoriasis. There's a lot that they use for psoriasis, mostly steroid creams, but vitamin D is specific. Dovanex with vitamin D is specific for psoriasis, and that's because vitamin D is epic for dealing with psoriasis and a lot of skin problems, and it's very underappreciated. So your point is very well taken there, Mr. Lee. Vitamin D is made in what part of the body? What organ of the body makes vitamin D, Lee?
Vitamin D, if I had to guess, I'd say the bacteria of the stomach.
That's not too shabby a guess, but that's not your body. That's not your cells. Which one of your cells? Which one of your cells? Yeah.
I don't know. And maybe the skin. Perhaps
that's exactly right. Yeah, that's exactly right. Vitamin D is made in skin cells. Vitamin D is made from a chemical reaction that occurs between cholesterol in the skin. Yet another reason why cholesterol is important. Vitamin D is cholesterol. Let's be very clear here. Vitamin D is a version of cholesterol. It's a tweaked version.
Cholesterol's bad. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I know, right? Crazy.
No,
so vitamin D is vitamin D is cholesterol. It's a tweaked version of cholesterol. And what is it that tweaks that cholesterol? Do you know, to turn it into vitamin D?
What tweaks the cholesterol?
Yeah, what is it that creates that little chemical reaction that turns cholesterol into vitamin D?
The sun. Why would it the stimulation of the pineal gland?
Well, no, it's actually ultraviolet radiation. The pineal gland is obviously important. I love the pineal gland. We'll spend some time talking about the pineal gland here.
Oh, I thought it had to do with the stimulation of the pineal gland, which then causes skin to
no, it's a direct reaction, and it's a solar reaction, which is why tan is important, which is why laying out in the sun is important. Not necessarily tan, but laying out in the sun is important because you're turning that cholesterol into vitamin D by the action of the sun. You know, there's so many misunderstandings in health in general around cholesterol, around the sun, around collagen, as we've been talking about. But vitamin D, to answer your question, vitamin D is going to be, my prediction is vitamin D is going to become more and more recognized as an active skincare ingredient. You're going to see commercials. You know, this is what the big companies, the big skincare companies do. They'll latch on to an ingredient, and all of a sudden it'll be on Dr. Oz, and it'll be on, the doctors or whatever show you're watching on TV. It'll be in the mainstream, and everybody will Estee Lauder and all the big skincare companies will have their vitamin now with vitamin D, just like now you see a Neutrogena now with high hyaluronic acid. Well, we've known about high hyaluronic acid for decades, and we've known about vitamin D for decades. So as far as let me just say this real quick. Topical vitamin D is not just for people who have skin diseases, but it also has anti-aging effects. Vitamin D is an incredibly important nutrient. You notice I didn't say vitamin because it's more than a vitamin. It's a hormone, and it's unbelievably important. And unfortunately, you can't really get the benefits. Well, I shouldn't say unfortunately. You can't, but you can't get as much benefit from the supplemental vitamin D as you can from the sun. The sun is the way to get your vitamin D. It's how the body prefers the vitamin D. Then food, then supplements. You can certainly get benefits from supplements, though. I didn't mean to say that you couldn't benefit from supplements. Go ahead, Lee. Did you have anything else?
Yeah, well, one more thing I want to ask you.
Okay, well, then hang on for the break, and we'll finish up when we come back. I'm Pharmacist Ben. Got lines open, 844-236-6010. We got a guest coming up, John Tweedy, the underwear guy. I'll explain when we come back from our break. You're listening to The Bright Side on the Genesis Communication Network. We'll be back right after this. All right, we're back on The Bright Side. I am Pharmacist Ben. 844-236-6010 is our number. We do have lines open for you. We will have a guest, John Tweedy, will be on. Tweedy will be on in our fourth segment. He's got a really interesting story to tell about weight loss and longevity. If you're doing the longevity business, you definitely want to hear what the underwear guy has to say. He's got a really cool website where he appears in his underwear, and he's very proud of himself appearing in his underwear, as you would be and I would be if we lost as much weight as underwear guy did. And we'll be talking to John about how he lost his weight and how he uses the longevity products. In our last segment, 844-236-6010 is our number. So let's see here. Where's my friend Lee? Lee, you there?
Yes.
All right. What made you ask about vitamin D? What made you?
So the vitamin D was covered, so it's a go for the vitamin D.
Why did you want to know about vitamin D? Why did you ask about vitamin D? Why did you ask about vitamin D, just for curiosity?
Because you put so much emphasis on all these other fat-soluble transdermal applications of vitamins and
not vitamin D as much.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to know. I'm like, why are we leaving this one out? Vitamin E could be good for the skin.
That's a great question. That's a great question. You should ask me that question. That's a great question.
E?
Yeah, why do I focus on vitamin C and vitamin A and not vitamin D, right? Because I do.
Those we're more deficient in.
Yes, the deficiencies in C and A for the skin are significant. I'll tell you why. This is very interesting. When you're deficient in C and you're deficient in A from a lousy diet, standard American diet, or you're not supplementing, and when you're deficient really in any nutrients, but especially vitamin C and A, your skin will get robbed of those nutrients. So you can bypass that effect, that sort of stealing effect, by putting them on topically. With vitamin D, you don't have to worry about it as much because it's made in the skin.
Yeah,
you follow me? It's not as significant. Not that it's not significant, it is, but it's not as significant as C and A. Secondly, the benefits from C and A for anti-aging are just too astoundingly voluminous. Vitamin D isn't in that same category as being specific for skin health as vitamin C and vitamin A are. Not that it's not important and not that it doesn't have benefits, because it does. But C and A are the first things to go with. Then probably D is probably the next thing to go with, actually, and I will be doing that, topical vitamin D, as soon as my non-compete is up here coming up in July.
Ben, the second question was just something, every time I listen to you, I feel like you talk about SMEP, which is, the level of change. If you can elaborate a little bit on
SMEP?
Just particularly at the spiritual level, like where does that change begin?
Well, I'm glad you asked that. I don't get to talk about that as much as I'd like to, because that is really what it all comes down to, is our spiritual nature. Let's be very clear about that. Whenever I do my presentations, I always start off by talking about SMEP, as you said, Lee. I hate that. I don't like the way that sounds, though. I got to come up with a better way of saying it. But SMEP, spiritual, mental, emotional, physical. Those are the 4 steps of wellness and health, or the lack thereof, or the 4 components of health and wellness. And I don't talk about it a lot, but it's very important to recognize that the physical is at the end of the spiritual, mental, and emotional flow. Yeah, it flows in that direction: spiritual, mental, emotional. I believe, and I kind of talked about it a little bit, and I've been talking about it a little bit, this idea of separation. Spirituality to me is about wholeness. Does that make sense, Lee? I know you're kind of a spiritual guy. Does that make sense? That spirituality is about wholeness, right? It's about unity. Yes. It's about our connection with, God, for lack of a better word. Our connection with divine force. Our connection with divinity. Connection. This is the operative word. Connection. Spirituality is about connection. Relig means to reconnect. Religion means to reconnect. So this is true religion. So our sense of disconnection from spirituality is fundamental. And we're encouraged to redirect our attention to the physical realm away from the spiritual realm, because nobody wants us to know, at least the power structure doesn't want us to know, that we're spiritual beings and we're powerful. Does that make sense?
Gravity. Yeah.
What's that?
100%.
Yeah. I don't know what you mean by gravity there.
The change begins with kind of just
understanding you're connected to the universe.
Of the higher root when you're being pulled down.
Yeah, reconnecting, exactly. Turning your attention back to the sense of oneness. Get a book called The Living Universe. If you're a scientist and you think or you're scientifically minded and you think this is airy-fairy, get a book called The Living Universe by Dwayne Elgin, E-L-G-I-N. And it's a really cool book, and it's not religious, but it explains this idea of our connection to the universe. He calls it the living universe. And religions throughout history, and prophets and wise men and people who are trying to help have always pointed us in this direction. The next level is the mental level, and that is underneath the spiritual level. The mental level is the level of thought. And make no mistake about it, the thought becomes the body. The thoughts through the action of hormones. Hormones are the link between our thoughts and our bodies. So that's the science, folks, right there. It's not airy-fairy. Mind over matter. I love it when people say, well, you believe in mind over matter? Well, of course you believe in mind over matter. Do you believe in mind over matter, Lee?
Yes.
Of course. How could you just lift your arm? What do you think that is when you lift your arm? That's mind over matter. What's the placebo effect? It's mind over matter. Mind precedes matter. Everything that's physical is preceded by a thought and then a feeling. And actually, thoughts and feelings are 2 sides of the same coin. Thoughts and feelings. Every time you have a thought, there's a feeling that's immediately associated with that, or I should say an emotion that's immediately associated with that. And then the emotion leads to a thought, and a thought leads to emotion. It's like this circle, and they're yin and yang, and they're two sides of the same coin, or whatever metaphor you want to use. They're linked to each other. And each one of those produces a hormone, which then produces the body. And I'm guilty sometimes of working backwards, of not addressing the direction, working with the physical first, not addressing the true direction of health and wellness. And I admit that.
I asked, because if the spiritual component is at the top, then, we're talking about vitamins and nutrients.
I know. Believe me, I understand this. However, under deficiency states, you can do a lot with nutrition, and most of us are deficient. You're not going to solve the problem completely, but there's a lot you can do with nutritional supplementation. And if you've already started the ball rolling on spirituality and mental and emotional strategies, then nutritional supplementation is the next step. You follow me? It's not like you have to be completely spiritually enlightened and unified and be thinking only pure thoughts and feeling only pure emotions before you can supplement. But once you've started the ball rolling on all these levels, you can get a lot of benefit from diet, from exercise, from breathing, from supplements. And I focus on that on this program, but really in my personal life and when I'm doing my presentations, and occasionally it leaks through on this program too, I try to bring up SMEP. And even if I call it unity, and I've been talking, I don't know if you heard me the last couple of days, Lee, but we've been talking about the connective tissue, and I've been really talking about the spiritual nature of the connective tissue, how it's a reflection in the body of a connection that occurs outside the body in the universe. There's no disconnection anywhere, folks. There's a connective tissue in the body. That's what acupuncture is. Meridians are, I shouldn't say acupuncture. That's what, you ever hear this thing called ley lines?
No.
L-E-Y, ley lines. Some of you guys out there may have heard of ley lines. There are actually meridians in the environment, latitude and longitude meridians in the energy field. And I forgot there's certain terms for them, and they're bands of energy that are actually connect things. They connect solid material that appears to be disconnected is connected through electromagnetic energy. In fact, the entire universe is connected through something called plasma. 99.9% of the known universe is made up of plasma, which is stuff. There's no empty space anywhere. It's all one thing connected. Lee, that was a good digression. I appreciate it. Thank you for letting me do that. I gotta go, buddy. Good to talk to you. Thank you for your call. I'm Pharmacist Ben. We've got John Tweedy coming up, the underwear guy coming up in our next segment. You're listening to The Bright Side on the Genesis Communication Network. We'll be back right after this. Okay, we are back on The Bright Side. I am Pharmacist Ben. Thanks for joining us. We're on the air Monday through Friday, 8 to 9 Pacific and 10 to 11 Central Time. If you want to purchase any of our Truth Skin Health products, including our Retinol 5% gel, head over to truthtreatments.com. And, of course, if you want to help me in my mission to educate the world about the power and importance of a good nutritional supplement program, please go to brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, or criticalhealthnews.com and sign up to join the Brightside Ben team. You can also call the phone team at 866-735-2470. When I talk about longevity, folks, I am talking from experience. I've seen the most incredible results over the last 20 years of being involved, or almost 20 years of being involved with Dr. Wallach and longevity. And I'm not going to get into the story, but I met Doc almost 20 years ago, and I've been bought in ever since. And I've seen unbelievable things. I've seen people off their medication that they've been on for years. I've seen them off multiple medications. I've seen them been in wheelchairs and then out of wheelchairs. And I've most impressively and importantly seen them lose weight, because that's what everybody wants to do, is lose weight. And when I go to the longevity conventions, I'm always blown away. And if you're doing the longevity business and you haven't been to the convention, you need to go to at least one. Not only are they very informative and educational, they better you become a better person, but they're motivating and they're inspiring, because you meet people like Underwear Guy, who I met a couple of months ago at the longevity convention. And he told me a story. I said, you got to come on the air and tell people. And that's what's so important when you experience these transformations. And I know so many of you have, because I've talked to you. You got to share them with people. You got to let people know. It's one thing when I give you the science, but it's another thing when somebody actually does it. And that's why I said to John, Underwear Guy, that you got to come on the program. So please welcome to the Bright Side, Mr. John Tweedy, the Underwear Guy. What's going on, John?
Hey, thanks a lot. I'm really, really happy to be here.
Good to talk to you. And we don't have a whole bunch of time. So I want, first of all, tell the folks what happened to you, what your experience was.
Well, basically, as most people will find out, that I'm a truck driver, and truck drivers live a very sedentary life. They sit for at least 12, 14 hours a day. And, of course, the food that we eat is not very conducive to health. We eat out of truck stop convenience stores. So you can imagine that, like everybody else in the world, about 80, 90% of us are obese and overweight. But I had other problems. I started to notice that my ankles were swelling up. And, I was always lethargic and just couldn't concentrate. And I needed 10, 12 hours of sleep just to get going in the day. And I knew that something was wrong. I went to the VA clinic. They told me my blood pressure was coming up and that I had an irregular heartbeat, atrial fibrillation. So, over a course of a year, they put me on 3 blood pressure medications, metoprolol, amlodipine, and lisinopril were the 3
And you had all this
drugs
energy after you took your antihypertensive. You had all this energy. It took care of your fatigue, right?
That's right. That's right. Matter of fact, right before you called, I was looking at the side of a Majestic Minerals body by Longevity of the liquid minerals, and I was doing
No,
a
I was
little
kidding
ad
you.
that I
I was
put out
kidding
on my
you.
website.
John, I was kidding about the beta blockers. Those are some of the most anti-energy drugs you could ever take. People feel like crap on those things. Not to mention they don't have any, the libido drops, the blood, it may drop the blood pressure, but it also drops your libido and your energy too.
Exactly. And I
So
was
go
on
ahead.
a blood thinner. I wouldn't go on Coumadin, warfarin, but I did accept Pradaxa, or the Bigatran was the ingredient. But I just didn't feel good about any of it. And every time I asked my cardiologist about anything natural, he told me, well, we can't discuss that. We can only discuss, what we recommend, which is the Coumadin. And I said, I'm going to have to think about this. And what I did was I started taking all of my omega-3 fatty acids. I started learning things. You were very instrumental in my knowledge on nutrition. And just make a long story short, over the course of about a year, I came off of all my blood pressure medications. My blood pressure went down to about 97 over 58.
Wait a minute. In 1 year, well, hang on, John. Let me
Sure.
digest this. In 1 year, you got off your meds and you got on a supplement program, and your blood pressure normalized and dropped. What was it before you started this whole thing?
I'm sorry, what was that?
What was your blood pressure before you started your nutrition?
Well, the highest one I can remember was about 164 over somewhere around 95, right in that area.
So you dropped it significantly. You dropped it probably 40% or so in a year with no drugs and just nutrition.
That's right, and I lost weight. I lost about at about the 30-pound range. In about 6 months, I altered my diet. I went on the supplements. I am a supplement giant. And then exercise. And when I lost the weight, I started to see my blood pressure came down. I started tapering off all of my heart medication. My blood pressure stabilized. And I came off of the Pradaxa, the blood thinner, and then I went on to omega-3 fatty acids and replacement, and I feel great. I only need now about 6 to 7 hours of sleep a night, and my career, I'm just much more alert in my mind. No, it does work.
How about your physique?
My physique? Well, I'll tell you something. As a young man, I always wanted what every young man wants, and that's six-pack abs and big arms. But, it's a myth out there. You have to work your butt off to get that kind of body, and even then you have to have really good nutrition. So what I found out was if I would lose the fat off of my belly, that my abs would pop out. So it became a fat issue. And so I went ahead. I went on the diet. I took all the supplements. And then I started to lose the fat. And when it started coming off my belly, my six-pack abs popped out. And then, I work out every day, a small workout that I do inside of my truck. Like I said, I'm a truck driver. And, and my body looks better than it did when I was in the Marine Corps. I'm not kidding you.
So now you have a website. What I love most about you and from talking to you was this idea that you want to help people, you want to show people, and you want to teach people. And so tell folks about your website and what they can find out about the website, and or what they can find out on the website, and how they can find out about the website.
Well, if they do a Google search, go up to this top search bar and type in the whole address, www.theunderwearguy.com. So it has to be The Underwear Guy, or you will come up with guys wearing underwear. Don't want that. Or you can go to my Facebook page, which if you're on Facebook, you just type in a search, The Underwear Guy, and then when it pops up open, you just hit a little blue tab that says Learn More. And when you do that, it automatically takes you over to my website.
And they'll see your six-pack.
Oh, definitely. You know, that's what I realized early on, that really what people want is they want that physique. They just don't know how to get it. And I'm really amazed myself. And so, you know, I really want to help people, no matter what age they are. You know, getting old and shuffling around with a big pot belly and not being healthy, that's a myth.
How old are you?
You don't have to be that way.
How old are you, John, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 65.
That's
and
awesome.
Proud of it.
That's with a six-pack.
Yes, that's right. That they can look at my website. I don't have to just say it. I'm not like Weight Watchers, where somebody says I lost 26 pounds, they write a book, they become a millionaire. No, you never see those people with their clothes off, and 26 pounds when they needed to lose 75 pounds, is significant, but it's not the real story. I took it off, and I maintained it, and to this moment right now, I look the same as in my pictures.
Now, can people email you if they have questions? Do you like give advice or anything like that?
Sure. I have an email address. It's called info@theunderwearguy.com. And then and in the About Us section on my website, I have my phone number, 951-634-5954. They're happy to call me, to text me. I am wide open to anybody that wants any help.
That's awesome. And now you're doing the longevity business too, right?
I'll tell you the truth. When I started into this, I was not interested in the business end of longevity. I was interested in their supplements. I went directly to the factory, and I bought my products from the recommendations I got from you and Dr. Wallach over the years. And people were trying to say, hey, you want to sponsor? And I said, no, because before I put my name on anything and my reputation, I need to try it and use it. So I did it for about a year. And then I decided I'm a believer. I know it works. I've proven it works. And now I'm going to go out there and help people to build their own businesses and get their own bodies in shape.
John, I got to motivate. I'm out of time. Thank you so much for coming on the show. It's theunderwearguy.com, theunderwearguy.com, and John Tweedy. Thanks for listening, friends. Have a beautiful, wonderful, spectacular day. I'm Pharmacist Ben. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye for now.